I'd like to call the City Council meeting to order. All right. Closed session report. Mr. McHugh.
Mayor Barrich and City Council members, in closed session, the City Council denied the request of the Redlands Professional Firefighters Association to open limited negotiations with regard to their memorandum of understanding. The vote was 3 voting against reopening, and that was Mayor Barrich, Mayor Pro Tem Tejeda, and Councilmember Foster. And the 2 council members who voted in favor of reopening were Council Members Davis and Councilmember Guzman-Lowry.
Thank you very much. Okay, the consent calendar. I've had a request to pull consent calendar number 2 and 3. And number...
Mayor, we need to approve the minutes first, please.
I'm sorry.
Well, Mayor Barrich, do we want to handle the public comment first?
That's a good idea. Yes, that's what we originally want to do. City Clerk, public comment, please.
All right. I do have several public comments that will be read in at this time. There will be one that we will save, and that is related to the public hearing, item J2, the Casa Loma project, but all the other ones will be read now at the beginning. First ones are general comments. Joshua Hall, I demand that you either immediately open up the Redlands City Council to the public, or you resign or face a recall. It's been over a year since COVID shut down the whole country, and the Redlands City Council continues to be closed to the public under the guise of public health and safety. COVID-19 has a fatality rate of less than 1%. You aren't protecting the public from COVID-19. You are protecting yourselves from us. Back in 2019, Redlands voters defeated Measure G, the initiative that promotes the construction of unrestricted stack and pack housing in a landslide. But since COVID-19, the council has resurrected Measure G. The Redlands City Council is a disgrace, and you should resign or be recalled. Alan Tho, I am urging the city council members to stop the eviction of Coyote Aviation and the tenants occupying these wonderful hangars owned by Gil Brown. I am a teacher at Citrus Valley High School and a pilot who resides as a member of the Redlands Flying Club. Although our planes are not hangared in Coyote, I have several friends who reside there and have always been impressed with the condition of these hangars and the way Gil Brown runs his operation. I urge each member to consider what is right and what is wrong. When the affected communities are the very constituents each council member represents, then the choice to protect that community is clear. When the benefit of such a terrible act is financial gain for the city, then the motivation behind this move is corrupt. There are other ways of increasing revenue rather than stealing from hardworking, long-term members of the Redlands community. I don't think any good human being would be able to accept this outcome without concluding that the reason this is happening to a good person is for the financial gain of the city. I have always been proud to tell people where I live, where I teach, and where my planes are based out of. This will paint Redlands in a very bad light and will be impossible to defend. I urge you all to do what's right and put a stop to this eviction. Please renew the lease with Gil Brown and allow the operation at Coyote to resume for the benefit of the flying community and all of Redlands constituents. Gil Brown, I taught 5th and 6th grade in Redlands for 35 years. To my students, my mantra was do your homework. It did not pertain to assignments. It meant understand a problem thoroughly before you attempt to solve it. Do your research. Coyote Aviation supporters, your constituents, believe your homework was not done, or perhaps it was done by someone else ostensibly representing Coyote's position for the city's benefit. Coyote Aviation recently received notification of lease termination. One of 2 reasons cited was that Coyote did not renegotiate a lease while in a month-to-month tenancy. My emails verified that between first notification of status and termination, I attempted no fewer than 15 times to engage city personnel in a dialogue of resolution. Never did a city representative contact us to clarify a fact, to request a meeting, to ask a question. We are astonished by the city's lack of cooperation. It appears that no one was interested, in looking at the whole picture. Carl Baker, can I ask you to step in?
Yes, I'll take it from here. It appears that no one was interested in looking at the whole picture before making a decision that negatively affects everyone at Redlands Airport. It is widely known that the city of Redlands is looking for inexpensive ways to increase airport revenue. Terminating an agreement with a solid minority-owned small business in the middle of a pandemic without even bothering to understand that tenant's position is simply refusing to do your homework. For my students, no homework earned a 0. That is the grade you've earned thus far from Coyote and from hundreds growing to thousands of your constituents. Stephen Willer, I was recently made aware of the city's decision to terminate Coyote Aviation's lease at the Redlands Municipal Airport and urge you to immediately stop your eviction of this business. I would offer that this is yet another example of how city employees, which are acting under your purview, leverage non-transparent and unethical business practices to the detriment of the citizens they serve and economic development in Redlands. Furthermore, through your decision to serve Coyote with a 30-day eviction notice, it is hard to view this as anything besides a blatant land grab by the city to take facilities that were constructed through private investment. We are not talking about a neglected property, but rather one that is in far superior condition to the city-owned and managed hangars at the airport. I'm one of your city hangar tenants. Many, if not all, of the members of council have publicly expressed your support for the Redlands Airport and its importance to the community. However, your decision to evict Coyote is a very public statement to the contrary. The citizens of Redlands deserve and demand honest leadership and transparency from our elected leaders. Let's please focus our efforts and limited fiscal resources to build up our city and not tear it down. I respectfully request that you immediately execute the first 15-year renewal option on Coyote Aviation's lease. Your constituents do not want to pay the tab for an unnecessary legal battle against an upstanding local business. Matthew Larson, I have grown up living near Coyote Aviation and have had the wonderful opportunity of interacting with Gil Brown and his wonderful wife. I have heard Gil's side of the story, and I do not understand why the city of Redlands is deliberately forcing a faithful small business owner out of their lease without any sort of negotiation. I trust Gil Brown, and I know he would not lie about being forced out of his business. Is the city of Redlands truly a supporter of small businesses? Your Facebook post states that the city supports small business, yet during a worldwide pandemic, political strife, death, and hopelessness, the great city of Redlands has decided to turn its back on its own people. I support Gil Brown, and you need to speak with him about negotiating a new lease. It would be a shame to lose a Redlands icon. Watching those planes take off has always been fascinating. I know Redlands would be an ugly place without Coyote Aviation. Please keep Coyote Aviation. It has become a Redlands heritage. Adrian Templeton, I'm extremely disappointed that the city of Redlands has circumnavigated its duties as a body of civil leadership. Regardless of reason for wanting to overtake property that only now is of more value, to take such a non-transparent and cowardly approach as to not ensure proper communication with the tenants, i.e. Coyote Aviation, is a despicable display, or rather lack thereof, of the trust bestowed upon you, the elected city officials. I can only imagine the monetary reasons the city has for displacing a perfectly good and in good standing business that, let's be honest, has every right running out of an airport and would be very hard pressed to find appropriate buildings anywhere else in the city. I sincerely hope you reconsider the businesses, families, and aviation enthusiasts that are being hurt by this shameful transaction. If the city wants to help economic development, maybe turn eyes onto that eyesore of a pile once affectionately called the Redlands Mall. Rosemary and David Vanix, please reconsider your plan to terminate the lease of Coyote Aviation at Redlands Municipal Airport. It is injurious to all parties. It strips a productive, community-friendly, and beloved business from its owners, 75% of whom are minority, half of whom are Latinx, all of whom are seniors, and one of whom is a cancer survivor. It will adversely affect your future in local public service by alienating the above-mentioned constituencies represented in the owner group, as well as a huge swath of the voting public who have very positive, long-term relationships with one or more of the owners, hold them in high regard, and understand this as an unnecessary and potentially illegal threat by our own local government against the rights of us as citizens to pursue mom and pop small businesses here in Redlands. It will lead to a diminished opinion of the airport among its customers and make our airport less competitive. This is a niche business, and the most successful niche businesses are those run by dedicated and passionate experts. We currently are fortunate to have that dedication, passion, and expertise at our airport. Yet, inexplicably, you are choosing to eliminate it. Although you have no track record to demonstrate that you will be able to come close to matching the current customer service level provided, much less equal or exceeded. Throw out a crown jewel in exchange for nothing except likely litigation against the city. Sounds unwise both fiscally and politically. Ted Gavlin, Redlands Airport Association President. I have concerns about a recent council decision to terminate the lease of Coyote Aviation. I'm also aware of the council's decisions involving negotiations with another hangar owner trying to secure a ground lease. It appears the council has made some decisions in these matters that do not respect the significant investments private parties have made at the airport. This is truly unfortunate. As these council decisions were made in closed session, there was no opportunity for the public to share the impact of these decisions. If the city's end game is the removal of these structures, it will eliminate hangar space for 19 aircraft from Redlands Airport. The Coyote complex has a flying club based in one of its hangars, and it too will be displaced, along with a flight school. Finally, it will put the building owner's company, Coyote Aviation, out of business. The city of Redlands has not built one structure at Redlands Airport. The airport was purchased primarily with grant funding. The runway and taxiway improvements were also funded with grant monies. The city does pay a small amount, 5 to 10%, for improvements funded by grants, but the lion's share of the expense and risk for improving the city's airport was made by private parties. You may not be aware of this, but all the structures at the airport, including the public lobby, were built by private parties over many years. In the past, the city encouraged these investments and was content with this arrangement. They had a functioning airport with little capital investment. Revenue produced by ground leases was initially adequate. Please resolve these lease disputes with the owners with the respect and dignity due to those that built Redlands Airport. It's the right thing to do. Javeed Siddiqui. I have become aware of the City of Redlands' attempt to terminate the land lease of Coyote Aviation at Redlands Municipal Airport. I find this distressing. This small business has been a vital part of the local community for 2 decades, providing not only quality hangar space, but also taking an active, positive role in the city's culture. Coyote Aviation has been responsible for introducing hundreds of school children to Redlands Airport and for giving over 1,500 free airplane flights, complementing Redlands School's STEM curriculum. The business has supported community blood drives, Toys for Tots events, Hangar 24's Airfest, airport open house days, and has donated airplane flights in silent auctions for local schools and charities. As a pilot myself, I know the Browns and Salivas well. They are valued friends. It is a shame to see them struggling to protect the exceptional business they have built and to see the city action hinged on a lease technicality that harmed the city in no way. I am confused as to why city council members would want to appear unsympathetic and opportunistic, forgetting campaign pledges to encourage, value, and protect local businesses. I urge you to reconsider your actions. I know many community members feel as I do when I say that Coyote Aviation has my full support in this dispute. Thank you for your time. Jeannie, are you ready? I'll go on. Ramesh Ganesh. It is to my understanding that Coyote Aviation Corporation has been given notification of the end of lease without proper prior notice to the business owner, Gil Brown. The business owners are educators who have served the local community for 35 years. If you want to terminate the least you can do is to provide a proper reason and chance to argue their business point of view. This is what a fair system aims to do. Please live up to your end. Kelly Roberts.
Carl, I can step back in. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Stand in the wings, though. Thank you, though. Next one is Kelly
standing by.
Rogers. Kelly Rogers. Mr. Brown was my teacher in 6th grade. He taught us and all his many students the value of a good education and of being a good human being. Flying was always a part of his classroom. He took many of his students and their parents on short flights. It was a great experience. Mr. Brown has been an educational beacon in this town, and Coyote Aviation has kept that same beacon for the airport. He built his own hangars, runs his own business, and leases many hangars to other pilots so that they can run their own business too. The city has done nothing but benefit from what this man has done, and now you are trying to take it away. You say that you are fair and honest. Nothing about what you have done is fair or honest. In fact, it's the exact opposite. This is my hometown. We are a community who looks after each other. You, the city council, are not doing that. You are attempting to take away a local business that has been here for 20 years, all because you think you can make money. This is wrong. You know this is wrong. Coyote Aviation is a part of Redlands and has many supporters all over this country, thanks to who Mr. Gil Brown is. Think about your actions. Are you being a good community member? Are you being good citizens? Amy Brown. Coyote Aviation has long been an integral part of the Redlands community. I respectfully urge you to reconsider your stance on the future of this family-owned business. Victoria Wispel. I reviewed the core values adopted by the City Council and found several that I believe the council members should reflect on as they consider their actions regarding Coyote Aviation's ground lease. We are fair, honest, and act with integrity. We embrace diversity and inclusiveness. We communicate openly, clearly, and frequently. I wonder if these values were present in dealings with Coyote Aviation prior to the ill-informed decision to terminate their ground lease. John Ingram. I was surprised to hear that the city intends to terminate the Coyote Aviation ground lease at Redlands Airport. The airport has developed primarily through the investment of time and money by private parties on land leased from the city. Most, if not all, of the vertical development at the airport has been done through private development. I have managed a number of airports over the years, including several in Southern California region, and never have been able to make a viable financial case for developing general aviation hangars with public funds. This project is a classic example of a public-private partnership that develops facilities that benefit the community and paved the way for similar projects in the future. An example that will be difficult to replicate with the partner that chooses to terminate agreements rather than resolve ambiguities in its agreements. Coyote Aviation is not some anonymous corporate entity. It is the sweat and blood of local families that love Redlands and have a passion for developing something of value at the airport. An investment of time and money that works if the agreement goes full term, including options. Perhaps it is not too late to step up to the table and as the partner you were intended to be. Andy Glaze, please reconsider your recent decision involving Coyote Aviation. I am in support of saving Coyote Aviation. Thank you for your time. Terry Bishop, I am voicing support of Gil Brown and Coyote Aviation. As a parent of one of Mr. Brown's former students, I saw firsthand the positive effect he and Coyote Aviation had on my daughter. He instilled a love of learning and community. He also encouraged a sense of service and giving back to the community. He provided my daughter so many opportunities to become an active learner and a caring citizen of Redlands. In science, my daughter learned about physics, aerospace, and aviation. She still has the model plane she designed, built, and presented as a 5th grader. I was able to accompany her class to the Redlands Airport on a field trip where students not only visited the site, but used science, mathematics, and architecture elements to extend their learning. A highlight for my daughter was a flight taken with Mr. Brown, which allowed her to truly experience her learning instead of just reading about it. Mr. Brown is the embodiment of everything a community needs. He saw a need, shared his passion, and has been providing exemplary service to the community's airport ever since. He is an honest, stand-up guy who deserves to be treated fairly by the city. Please begin dialogue with Coyote Aviation. Listen to your citizens in support of this business and save Coyote Aviation. Rachel Coe, I respectfully urge the council members to stop the eviction of Coyote Aviation and its tenants. As a lifelong Redlands resident, I have always been proud to call this wonderful city my home. Our small businesses are a crucial part of what makes Redlands such a beautiful place to live. To present Coyote Aviation with a 30-day eviction notice without any justifiable evidence or clarification is not only unprofessional but also contradictory to the economic development of Redlands. Please take into consideration the years of work that goes into growing and maintaining a small business. I ask that the City Council remove the eviction notice on Coyote Aviation and reinstate the renewal on its lease. Thank you for your consideration. Daniela Molinaro, I am appalled by your decision to terminate the lease of Coyote Aviation without any negotiation or even dialogue with the local business owners. It is the height of hypocrisy that many of you ran election campaigns promising to advocate for the growth of locally owned businesses and then unanimously voted to effectively seize the facilities that a minority-owned local business built from scratch through private investment. Given the lack of transparency throughout this decision process, your constituents can only assume that you are incapable of upholding your duties as elected officials, since this appears to be a blatantly corrupt attempt to seize private facilities for the financial gain of the city. On July 21st, 2020, Redlands City Council declared racism a public health crisis and passed a resolution committing to assessing and revising city department policies, procedures, and ordinances to ensure racial equity and transparency are core elements. Terminating Coyote Aviation's lease, which essentially expropriates the property of a minority-owned business without any dialogue with the business owners, is antithetical to ensuring racial equity and transparency. Carol Brown, I am a native of Redlands and one of the 4 owners of Coyote Aviation. Ours is a small minority-owned business. Much of our facility was built with the labor of our families. Our children pitched in to work during the hot summer. Because of our efforts, a weed-covered patch of land at Redlands Airport became a source of income and a great benefit to the city. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in fees, rents, taxes, and utilities have been paid by us. No one can dispute that we have been excellent and cooperative tenants for more than 20 years. I am shocked by your vote to terminate our lease. Not one city council member ever reached out to us before voting. I ask that you take a step back, respect our voice in this matter, and allow negotiations to actually begin.
John A. Flippin. It is my opinion that the recent action to terminate Coyote Aviation's lease goes against the very platform you campaigned for in promoting small local businesses. Coyote Aviation is part of the great American dream, one for a person to start up his or her own business. Coyote Aviation is more than just a business. It is also an education in flying and aeronautics for many. I have known Gil and Carol Brown for more than 30 years. They are people of great moral and responsible character. If the facts and evidence support that Coyote Aviation has been in great standing with the city for these 20-plus years, have paid their lease on time, have maintained professional and safe facility operations, and have provided positive support to our local airport and the city of Redlands, then I believe it is in your best interests to allow the business to continue operations. You are apparently in this unnecessary predicament today due to the lack of communication by the city with Coyote Aviation, along with the lack of the city's willingness to resolve a fixable problem. Will you choose to stand by your word to support small businesses by allowing Coyote Aviation to continue benefiting the community, or will you choose to support other self-interests over small business? Barry Newmeyer. I own 2 hangars at the Coyote Aviation complex. I invested in the hangars for my retirement. It is very upsetting to me at the thought of losing my retirement income. My renters were also very upset when they got their eviction notices from the city. Please explain to me your position on why you voted not to renew our lease. I have heard the city was using the excuse that the renewal was not started on time. Also, your decision was made without any input from Coyote Aviation. I'm asking you to look into this situation more closely and seek out the total facts. I would appreciate a response. Greg and Pam Gibbs. Hey, what's up with Redlands? We live in Northern California, but have had a connection all our lives with Redlands, going back to the 40s and 50s when we used to go down to Redlands every summer to visit relatives there. It always was a great experience, but now the reputation of Redlands is really taking a beating. The news about your treatment of minority-owned business has traveled all the way up to Davis. Our dear friends Gil and Carol Brown, who own Coyote Aviation, are precisely the types of individuals the City of Redlands should be doing all they can to encourage, not act against them in the way you are doing. Please reverse your procedures and show some respect for the outstanding citizens and owners of a long-time, very positive business. Thank you. Joseph Scarcella. It saddens me deeply to hear of the recent issue regarding Coyote Aviation lease agreement at Redlands Municipal Airport. I have been a tenant and business owner working tirelessly to sustain my endeavor. Running a flight school is not easy. Like other aviation businesses, there are inherent risks. All business owners know it takes dedication, hard work, finances, long hours, and commitment. Some of many responsibilities required for success. It is challenging. Coyote Aviation has a terrific reputation on the airport and community. Mr. Gil Brown and Mr. George Saliba should be rewarded, not penalized for their efforts. They are excellent examples in character and business management. They always do what is right, upholding the highest standard, looking out for the best interest of the airport community and community in general. They have a win-win attitude. You succeed, I succeed mentality. A mentality that is important and should be at the forefront for any business model. In like mindset, it is hoped the City of Redlands would show similar support for its tenants as well. I, as many businesses at the airport, need your support. Positive support that encourages growth and productivity. Please accept this letter of support for Coyote Aviation, Mr. Brown and Saliba, the airport community and community in general. Commend their efforts, do not stifle them. I know your time is appreciated and you will do what is right. It is hoped this issue will be dismissed and resolved quickly and Coyote Aviation continue to do what they do best. Bill De Silva of De Silva Transport. There was a time when city government encouraged small business instead of competing against them. There was a time when government was looked up to. The Redlands City Council should strive to be more like Mr. Brown, honest, caring, and giving instead of being dishonest, disrespectful, and greedy. Mr. Brown has never taken anything from the City of Redlands or the community in general. He has only striven to make Redlands a better place to live. He has educated the youth of Redlands far and beyond what was required, being a good neighbor at home and as a businessman. You know what you're doing is wrong. Ask your children if what you're doing is an honest endeavor or just a bullying tactic to get your way. Take a hard look in the mirror and ask yourself if you like what you see. Being that I now live in Cedar City, Utah, I'm really no longer involved with the Redlands Airport, but have advised the people I know on the Airport Advisory Board here who have ground leases at the airport to be super aware of any slight discrepancies in their leases and to spread the word to other airports. Here's hoping that you do the right thing. David Guthmiller. I was appalled to hear that the mayor and council have decided to terminate the lease and seize property of a longtime minority-owned business at the Redlands Municipal Airport. Coyote Aviation has been a model tenant at the airport for 20 years and has provided much-needed infrastructure to the airport, which was paid for out of the owner's own pockets. Seizing their personal assets is completely unacceptable and is not the function of a properly run government. There is nothing good that will come out of your decision to proceed forward with this lease termination. I encourage the City Council to rescind its previous decision and to sit down and negotiate a reasonable lease renewal with Coyote Aviation so as to avoid a costly legal battle that unfortunately will be paid for by the citizens of Redlands. George M. Lessard, aircraft owner, pilot hangar owner, and citizen. As a 33-year resident of Redlands, former member of the Airport Advisory Board and two-time chair of said board, I have over the years had positive and pleasant relations with Redlands city government, including city managers, mayors, city councilmen, the city attorney, and departmental representatives. I was repeatedly reminded of the dedication of city management to the well-being and care of the residents of the city of Redlands. I must say, never in my dealings previously have I seen such a blatant disregard for citizens as I have seen in the dealings with Mr. Gil Brown, a Redlands teacher, leader, and community servant. Mr. Brown has repeatedly tried to resolve questions on the Coyote Association hangars, only to be dismissed, disregarded, and abused by city representatives. It is time that city government deal with Mr. Brown and issues created by the city and resolve the issues dealing with the renegotiation of the lease of Coyote hangars. Lynette Vargas Butcher. I am writing this on behalf of Coyote Aviation and my friends Gil and Carol Brown. I lived in Redlands and worked for RUSD for 23 years and cannot understand how the City Council is trying to do everything they can to destroy a business that is an important and vital part of the community. Redlands has always been a welcoming community, and to see this happening is unbelievable and sad. Gil and Carol have been supportive and positive citizens of Redlands. This move on the part of the City Council is totally unnecessary. In the time where small businesses are closing down and struggling because of the pandemic, to purposefully force a small business out seems unproductive to Redlands. Please reconsider your decision and allow Coyote Aviation to stay. Thank you.
Jay Molyneux, this message is in regards to Gil Brown and George Saliba of Coyote Aviation, located at Redlands Municipal Airport. I've been a tenant of Coyote Aviation for over 15 years and have known Gil and George for approximately 25 years. I'm a retired Air Force veteran and have been a DoD contract pilot for the last 20 years, flying the DC-10 and B-707 as captain. More importantly, I have a light aircraft hangared at Coyote and have been active as a certified flight instructor based at Redlands Airport for many years. In my 40 years of flying aircraft, I have never witnessed a better place to operate private aircraft than Coyote Aviation. Gil and George run a superb operation, providing a safe, clean, organized, and attractive FBO. It is my observation that Coyote is a thoroughly professional operation, exceeding all expectations of the tenants, the city, state, and federal governments. Coyote Aviation should be the benchmark for how to operate an FBO at Redlands Municipal Airport. Not only is it an attractive facility, Coyote's management ensures the individual hangars are compliant with any and all inspections and codes. Coyote represents the city of Redlands in a fine fashion. I feel that the loss of Coyote Aviation as an FBO at Redlands Airport will be felt not only by the tenants, but also across the entire airport. Coyote adds real value to the airport and to the city of Redlands. Thank you for your time.
So he's up there doing the work, and we're just enjoying, reveling in the joy of having the building practically done. How do you feel about this, Ava?
Great.
Words spoken by a true diplomat. And Carol, how do you feel about this?
It's very exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, this is a big moment today. And we made it to October 11th today. And you can see what's happening. George is up there finishing up the sign. And this is kind of like the last thing that makes the building done. So it's real exciting for us. Hey George, how you doing?
Good, good.
Doing this to all the way.
Beautiful.
Ava said it was 1/8 of an inch crooked on one side, so we're going to tell him when he gets down after he finishes putting in all the... Ever a good interview because he's so relaxed on camera is my friend George behind me, so I'm going to ask him to come on over here so we can reflect on the job we've done. George,
Yes.
come on over, join me, buddy.
Okay, I'm camera shy, guys.
Okay. We don't know what he's doing over there. He's actually watering the plants. How he's doing it, I don't know, but here he comes to tell us about it.
These plants, Wes brought them in, and they're taken. I painted my thumb green before I planted
Yeah, they
them,
do.
and
They
now
look,
they're coming
they look
out.
good, and you're keeping them wet, personally.
Yeah.
We're proud of George for that. Come on, get in the camera here. So what do you think about this job? We got our sign up behind us, and
Good
the
job,
women
Gil.
supporting us. and-
Excellent job. Thank you, kids, for the donation of the letters.
Yes.
It's beautiful. We put it to good cause.
Yeah, we got them like this on both sides of the building, so whenever we drive up, we'll see it. It's pretty exciting. And all the people that come by will know this is the Coyote building.
This is your home.
Awesome, awesome. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
We did it.
partner, my friend.
He's wanting to pull away.
He does. Oh, no. There we go. He can only get like certain distance from me, he starts
I
wanting
told
to
you I'm
back
camera
away.
shy, you know, what do you expect?